attempt to prevent fatal injuries in football, I have invented this new type football helmet, which I believe will do much to rid the game of fatalities.
The inventor sure has faith in his helmet, for he's going to try it out himself. And now watch him take it. Right on the old beam.
Get her again, boy.
Get an aspirin tablet.
Oi, boys. Ha! Like my mother-in-law, isn't it?
The butting test, but it never gets his goat. He actually seems to enjoy it. Seriously, though, this helmet should prevent severe injuries.
An attempt to prevent
Yeah.
fatal injuries.
That is an amazing clip posted by Roy Wood Jr., ex-Jedi. Those who know him know him. I'm going to show you that video in a second. Welcome to First Kick Seahawks. It is Friday night, a couple days before the Seahawks take on the Tennessee Titans. Thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe. It would help out the channel a whole bunch. I'm not feeling good today. You know what? A few people aren't feeling good today, but today especially, I hate to break it to everybody, but I had some food poisoning last night, so I didn't stream earlier, but even our center, Brown, seems to be feeling sick. And it is that time of the year where a lot of teams, they're starting to get a little beat up, but also they have kids. Some players are going to get sick. Illnesses are going to cross through locker rooms, and as we saw even during the COVID years, some teams get hit hard. Some teams might even get hit hard with a different type of bug, the injury bug. Well, something occurred this day while I was doing laundry, taking care of my bug. The Titans dropped their injury bug. And so I'm going to share my screen with you. And I want to show you this monstrosity of an injury report. Look at this fucking thing. Look at all these players. Out of all these players, only 2 on this list are good to go. Like fully ready to go. Yeah. How many outs are included? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 players are listed as out versus the Seahawks on a 53-man roster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more are questionable. And one of the questionable ones is Will Levis, who has already basically been declared as out. This also is not including the fact that earlier this week on Monday, Teair Tart, I believe that's how you say his first name, who was their defensive tackle, apparently there was some locker room disputes after the game. Allegedly. Maybe I heard that incorrectly. And so he was released by the Titans after the game, and the Texans picked him up immediately after. Per Big Cat County. Anyways, they're having problems with their roster. And so I think it's a good point of the week to bring up just injuries in general. So let's kind of go through it. And before we really get into it, I want to talk about the importance of equipment and equipment managers and taking care of our players. So here's that clip again. You heard it, but let's watch it in case you decided to skip over the beginning, because this is an amazing clip of the type of, first of all, look at the type of players, how they're built, what they're using to protect themselves. They have the pads, right? So not much has changed as far as limb protection. So you're going to get guys with like elbows that are getting exploded and stuff, right? But their shoulders and stuff, these bodies are not the same. Like, look at this dude. He's big, though. He's a big old dude. But look at this helmet.
In an attempt to prevent fatal injuries in football,
Notice he said, in an attempt to prevent fatal injuries. Their goal wasn't to stop concussions at the time. Their goal was to stop fractures. They wanted to stop skull fractures and things like that, and your flesh getting ripped off your head.
I have invented this new type football helmet, which I believe will do much to rid the game of fatalities.
Do much to rid the game of fatalities. Now look at what he's
Benner
doing.
sure has faith in his helmet.
This
for
is
he's going
insane.
to try it out himself.
Is my screen gonna get in the way? It better not fucking get in the way. I want you to see it.
And now watch him take it. Right on the old beam.
Yeah, they're just kicking him right on the top of the
Get her
fucking
again,
head.
boy.
And he just goes there and resets it. He look at how he's like bracing himself on the ground before every kick. Like, oh no, they're gonna fucking kick me, but I gotta sell this product.
Like my mother-in-law, isn't it?
Just beaming him across the
Butting
head.
Ted, but it never gets his goat. He actually seems to enjoy it.
Running head first
Seriously,
into
though,
a brick wall.
this helmet should prevent severe injuries.
In an attempt to
Yeah, so we've come a long way. We've come a long way in trying to make sure that this never happens. And while watching that, it was interesting because he's inventing that, right? And I can just imagine he puts it on and he's like, okay, I'm going to test this to see if this helmet can protect against fractures. So I'm going to run into this wall. Runs, gives himself a concussion. It's like, it fucking works. And then goes and sells this to these football companies at the time, and they're like, well, does it prevent brain fractures? Like, I'm alive, look. He runs into a fucking brick wall and lets people kick him in the head, but he's getting all these concussions while selling this shit. It was so painful to watch that fucking clip because the things that we have been doing, the football energy that have been doing to these players is awful. From the types of medication that we put on to, there was some running back, I don't remember his name, who was running on a fractured leg, and he didn't even know it until like after the game because he was on so many meds, but he ran basically the entire game on a fractured leg. So I appreciate the era of football that we're entering, where when a player is hurt, they are aware that they're hurt, and they have the option to stay out. And also, I appreciate that there is now more awareness to protect these players, because going into this Titans game, you don't get to see Levis. I don't get to see Hooker. We don't get to see probably a bunch of their defensive linemen. Their tight ends are questionable. All three of them are questionable. So they'll probably start, but a bunch of their corners are injured. They're in trouble. Their guard and their center are both injured. And when you look at the Seahawks injury report, we have Jamal Adams, who's out because of a knee injury. And he's probably out, to be honest, because he got benched for bad behavior and what have you. Then we have Frank Clark, who's out because he's sick, which Evan Brown is also listed as questionable because he's sick, but he might feel better by then. And then we have D. Eskridge, who's been out for most of the year because of his rib injury. Witherspoon is questionable with the hip pointer, probably out. Kenneth Walker, shoulder. Trey Brown, heel. Both are expected to play. And then the Titans, just this fucking wall. So I want to talk about what this means for the Seahawks. What type of meat are we going up against? Because this Titans offensive line and this Titans team, they're already struggling. Just having like one more good player removed is a problem. So the fact that they already lost Tart on the defensive line is huge. So here we are on ESPN. They have the depth chart. It's not up to date. I mean, it's up to date, but it's not up to date with, hey, we know Will Levis is expected to be out, but they have him listed as questionable. It's because the Titans listed him as questionable, but as we know, he is most likely out. There's a part of gamemanship that comes with listing players as questionable and injured. Even agents will encourage certain players to be like, yeah, actually mark yourself as injured this week in their report so that we can sell a certain type of narrative. So it's a thing. Ryan Tannehill's probably starting with Will Levis inactive and Malik Willis is the backup. So if he starts just falling apart, Malik Willis might play in the second half. You never know. All the running backs are good to go. Haskins is already on IR. They got Hopkins. And then Trey Jackson's on IR. Westbrook, I can't read that because I'm not wearing my glasses, is an IR. And then Kyle Phillips is listed as out. If we look, that's a recent endeavor. Because he was limited this week. So their wide receiver room is small, which means they're definitely going to want to run the ball. They have been running the hell out of the ball. But if we can stop Derrick Henry and company, they're running out of meat in the receiver room with just these guys. They'll have 5 receivers active that day with Phillips out. And then you look at the tight end room. They have 4 tight ends. And the first 3 are questionable. And it looks like Wesco was limited yesterday and didn't practice all week. Okonkwo did not practice all week. And then where's their other tight end? Wilt? He had a knee injury and then he's been full all week, so he'll probably be in. So it's likely that they'll be down to Wilt, Wesco, and Raider. And their starting tight end is going to be out. If he does play, he's going to be severely limited. Which then gets to the offensive line. First of all, you should have watched the tape by now. I told you to watch that Houston Titans game. If you didn't, you should go. Otherwise, you should watch some highlights. This dude, Jalen Duncan, is struggling. He's struggling this year. It's his rookie year. He was a 6th-round pick, about 306 pounds, 6'6", long arms. He's got some footwork problems. He also stands too tall. So he's getting worked underneath, and then with the footwork problems, he's getting shoveled around. And that's the side of the ball that they're really trying to run at. Because on the right side, they already have 3 injuries. So they're playing with, loose numbers. Their center is struggling, and their right guard is struggling currently in injuries. The guard should practice. I was surprised when they listed him with an ankle injury. During the game, it looked like his hand got hurt. But he was full and ready to go. The center was limited on Friday. I would suspect that they might have given him some rest days. They have him listed as questionable. It could be in case something happens, right? But most likely it's good gamemanship. Nothing's happening on the right side of the line other than they've just been struggling all year. They're not going to run on the right side of the line. Linebackers is interesting, though. Jack Gibbons is out, and so is Gifford. And I'm going to include Amani Hooker in there, too, their strong safety, because they like to drop him in the box to be the third linebacker. When you look at the Titans depth chart, Gibbons being out, well, he's their starting left inside linebacker. And Gifford is their backup right inside linebacker. So I would assume that Garrett Wallow would come in. And you can't have Hooker drop into that category and have Landry come in. Or I guess you could try to get Gibson or somebody over there. I don't know how their structure really is. But because they're losing their inside left linebacker, and they're losing their hook safety, and they're losing their left corner, and they're losing their free safety, and they're losing their left defensive end, and they're losing their backup left defensive end, it's going to be a long day for them. They're running out of meat on defense. So they're going to be in a heavy linebacker set. All day. And luckily for them, they play a 3-4. They dropped their nose tackle, which is a shame because they really could have used some extra meat right here, but maybe he was just so bad they just wanted to get him off the field. But to lose two ends at the same time in a 3-4 where you don't have a lot of defensive linemen to begin with, you basically lose 3 defensive linemen in 1 week. It's painful. It's a painful week. Then on top of that, you lose 2 linebackers, 3 if you count Hooker. You lose your starting free safety. There is absolutely no reason that we should be able to kick this team's ass. When you look at the players we have injured, we have Jamal Adams, who was playing bad anyways. In fact, he's benched probably because he's not even injured. He's benched probably because he's a terrible leader. Frank Clark, who was brought in as like a goodwill chip. And D. Eskridge, who we're surprised he's still on the team to begin with. We're going to kick this team's ass. I'm excited. Now, of course, you have to venture before you can gain. We still need to go and kick this team's ass. You can't assume that because of all these injuries that the backups are going to not have some competitive edge. We saw that with Drew Lock. Played like shit all game against the Eagles, whether it was his fault or not. Just didn't play well. And then at the last drive, awesome play to DK. Awesome play to DK. Awesome play to DK. JSN touchdown. Blew the Eagles' mind. We win the game. You got to be prepared. You got to be ready to go 1-0 against any opponent, no matter how injured they are. Because an injured animal might just see this as an opportunity to strike. A lot of these guys are like, wait, this is like my first set of snaps all year where I get the bulk of the snaps because that asshole's finally off the roster and these other guys who've been really good, they don't get to play today. I'm going to play my hearts out for those guys, right? We might not be in the playoffs, but I got to put on good tape for myself. And the coaches just fired a bunch of people. Well, they fired one guy and they put people on IR and they started settling. Some players might be like, I gotta save on to my money for next year, which means that they're going to be motivated to play well. And then they're also going to have honor. I want to play well. So don't go into this game thinking, well, Geno Smith is expected to be back. We're good to go. We figured out how to tackle now. Now all we need to do is we just need to blow up Duncan on the left tackle and blow up that right side and stop Henry, because then they can't possibly do anything. Hopkins can't get open if we just put 3 guys on him. They don't have any other. No, we got to take this team by the fucking throat and finish them off. They're in pieces right now, coming off of that rival game against the Texans, where they had the audacity to wear the Oilers gear for multiple reasons. Derrick Henry on 20 carries had 10 yards combined. He's going to want some revenge. And we got to be ready for that. Like I've said just the other day, just because a team's going to beat you doesn't mean you don't give them the middle finger on their way up the hill. They're not going to roll over if we start coming in and playing like shit. They're going to use this as an opportunity to get a win. Especially Vrabel. That man's got pride. The rest of those men in that team got pride. King Henry's got pride. Let's go tackle the fuck out of this team. Because after we tackle the fuck out of this team, they're going to want to run the ball some more. Because that's all they're going to be able to do. Unless you want to see Ryan Tannehill throw more picks. As we established, Titans have 10 picks this year. He's accounted for 6. But Julian Love might not be in this game. I talked about that. I said how Julian Love might be the MVP of this game too, because the area of the field where Ryan Tannehill will be targeting is Julian Love's area of the field. That's the hot spot where Ryan Tannehill throws the picks, and that's where Julian Love got those picks against Jalen Hurts. Well, Julian Love's having a baby. His partner's having a baby. Congratulations to the Loves. I love that for you. Your little bundle of love. And therefore, he's decided to stay in Seattle. If the child is born, he said he'd come play the game. But let's just say he stays in Seattle. Babies have a habit of making things complicated. Coby Bryant is going to play safety. And we remember him from, he was corner all the time, and I believe in college, and they moved him to nickel last year to find a spot for him. And what was really cool about him was he would get his fist into where the hands of the receiver were and the carrier was, and he would punch that ball out. But we get beaten coverage a lot. The problem we were having with him is he had an athletic problem in coverage. He couldn't quite get the agility to get there. But he's good at tackling. He's good at tracking the ball. And therefore, in camp this last year, they asked him to move. For many reasons, they didn't have enough room, but also they're like, hey, we want you to try strong safety. So he's like, sure, I want to stay in the NFL. Move me to strong safety. And I think he was a really good college player, too. So he's smart and can play multiple positions. But I think this is going to be his first real go other than in preseason at strong safety against Ryan Tannehill. So what a great opportunity for Bryant to go against Ryan Tannehill, who's been throwing all these interceptions in the exact area that Bryant's going to be in. If it turns out that he does have the athleticism to play on the ball and him learning in the back, he's been getting hungry. Because we were worried when Michael Jackson was going to come and start. And when he started, he looked great. Maybe not in pass coverage, but that's fine because he could tackle. And I also don't think Jalen Hurts is the best passer ever. But if Trey Brown is out there on the other side and Jackson is doing fine and Quandre Diggs is doing great, all we really need is Devin Witherspoon in there underneath. But even then, we have Artie Burns playing nickel, and he's been looking pretty solid too. If we can just get Coby Bryant to go back there and tackle really well this game, because he's going to get in these situations where he's going to have to man up on Spears and Henry. Don't get Earl Thomas, King Henry'd into the ground. You know, won't love that. But it's a good opportunity for this guy to show I do belong in the NFL, but also because of his ability to punch the football out. I always thought moving him to strong safety was so smart because if you put him in the box, if he can make these plays on like Hopkins underneath, he might be able to punch the ball out and give us a turnover against this bad Titans team. I would adore that. Anyways, is there any other thoughts I have before I head out? Is brief, because Fridays are my days, and I like to spend some time to myself. Elijah Molden. I wanted to look at Elijah Molden really quick. He's the one who's stepping in for Amani Hooker. A 2021 third round pick. It's 100th overall. He's a short, quick guy, 5'10", 190 pounds-ish. Has 35 tackles this year, 1 interception, and 3 pass defenses. Yeah. Looks like he has 54 combined tackles on the season. So he knows how to play. This will be a good opportunity for him too. He's kind of in a similar situation as Bolden, as Coby Bryant, where he plays corner, but he's going to be moving to strong safety. So definitely watch for that. It could be a good game for our tight ends to get explosives on their strong safety. I'm not sure. This will be a really interesting game because they're so beat up. They've been meat ground. We might be able to just meet them and put them back into the ground again. That's what we should do. On paper, we should meet this Titans team and put them into the fucking ground. And that's what I want to see. Cross, Lewis. If Brown is sick, I want to see Oluwatimi come in at center and be able to do good snaps and be able to communicate well next to Bradford and Lucas. We should be able to beat up this defensive front. After we just went through Aaron Donald and then the 49ers and then, the Cowboys with Parsons and then the 49ers and then the Eagles with all of that fucking meat on their defense. We should be able to put this Eagles defense in the turf. There should be maybe more players deciding that they want to be on that injury report next week so that when they perform poorly the following game, they don't look as bad. Oh, well, he was injured. Yeah, I bet you were injured getting ready. Everyone's injured in this week. All these questionable players, all these tight ends. Our defensive line and our linebackers and our pass rush is going to eat them alive. It's going to eat them alive. And Ryan Tannehill, one of the reasons he got benched and was throwing those picks is because of the pressure that he was getting at the start of the season. He couldn't handle it anymore. And he was getting the ghosts where you think pressure's coming and you start to run in a different direction and you lose timing and stuff. That dude is going to lose his mind if we come out and play well. King Henry will do what King Henry needs to do. And if we stop him behind the line of scrimmage, he won't have the momentum to continue forward. That's how you stop King Henry. Spears is amazing. He is going to try to get skinny and make things happen. He's going to make one guy miss, and the second guy needs to be there to make him miss. This is why you got a hawk tackle. Hawk tackle involves the whole hawk pack coming into attacking together. That's how you stop the run game. Bada bing, bada boom. It's as easy as that. You tackle the fuck out of Henry. You be there so that when Spears makes the first guy miss, the second guy's there to hit him up, and it's only a 2-yard gain. Put this team in the turf. And then congratulations to the Love family. That's so awesome. I hope that the baby gets born like during the game or something. Like when maybe Coby Bryant has a pick 6. And it'll be just for you. That'd be so sweet. Anyways, thank you for being here to First Kick Seahawks. Please like and subscribe. It'd really help out the channel. And I will see you guys around some other time. Definitely going to live stream on Sunday. It's going to be